Hey, this is David with No Chaser, and today I want to talk a little bit about depression because I was feeling pretty good today, so let's bring that level down. I want to talk about a common misunderstanding when it comes to depression, and what's funny? I was thinking about like I'll title this video something catchy or grabby, like the myth of depression, because I wanted to talk about like a myth or a misunderstanding. And then I realized that that would sound like the myth of depression. Like it's all in your head, you whiners. Clean your room and start jogging. You're not really that down. Like that could have looked bad for the 50 people that may watch this. But anyways, I do appreciate if you are watching. But I was talking with somebody about what like we both like suffer from depression and kind of like what ours looks like. Like the way like one of my things is I don't know if you ever seen the movie Signs from M. Night Shyamalan about the aliens. There's like the daughter that always left like half drinking cups of water. Spoiler alert is like how they kill some of the aliens. It's very dumb. But that's kind of what my room would look like when I was depressed. It would just be bottles of water, just like everything was just kind of half eaten and half drinking. Like I wouldn't finish anything. There would just be open stuff that just not enough energy to put it away. So everything was just half and half empty, if you know what I mean. But he told me that his sign wasn't his beard, because sometimes people grow like depression beards. He just normally had a beard, but his neck beard was his tell. Like when that started getting out of hand, that's when he was in it. Like when it started looking like he had like his own man-made turtleneck, that's when he was like super bummed. But the common misunderstanding that I want to talk about is, actually, and to prepare for this, I looked up the definition of depression. I actually looked it up in the dictionary and saw a picture of me. Mental health jokes. No, but I looked it up and I was the first thing that comes up is that it says feelings of severe despondency and dejection. And I had this weird little moment where I was kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, they got it right. Because one thing is that they'll talk about someone when they find out that they've been depressed for a while, whether it's someone at work or family member or friend, and they're just like, well, they didn't, they seemed tired, but they didn't seem like sad. And that's that idea of sadness. Like there's so many times where like sadness and depression are used as interchangeable words, but the thing about sadness is that that's almost too emotional for what depression is. Like, and I'm talking about clinical depression. I'm talking about the feelings that they come from nowhere. Because a lot of people too were, they tell me like, James he's been really depressed since his girlfriend left him. I'm like, well, and of course I didn't say this out loud because it would sound douchebaggy, but in my mind I was like, well, no, that sounds like he's sad because his girlfriend left him. Because that makes sense. There's a cause and effect to that. That's a sad thing happened to him. Therefore, he's sad. And the way that depression, at least the way it comes on to me and a lot of people I know, is there's not a cause and effect to it. And it is, so much of it is not emotional. It's not like these, like this crying. Like I remember I would describe it to people as depression is when you're too sad to cry. I mean, in this way, a lot of it. What people don't describe about it is, it's seen like completely as a mental and emotional ailment, but a lot of it is derived from physical things. Like the depression is just the lack of energy. That's one big thing, and that kind of like molasses like movement to everything where it just feels like you got rubber bands pulling on you for everything you do. Like, shit, I gotta pick up the laundry all the way over there, and like I gotta go to work today and tomorrow and the rest of my life. And it's not so much like you wake up and you're just crying and you're like, man, I fucking hate my life. It's kind of just like you wake up and you're like, fuck. And then when there's things that just you don't have the energy for, and then things that you would think bring you out of it you lack the excitement, or you lack the interest. Again, it's not like a sadness that you're not like sad about something so you can't do hobbies that you enjoy. You're just not interested in them. It is kind of like this emptiness. That's why, going back to that definition, that like, you know, weird way pleased me, because I felt it was so accurate. When something is misconstrued a lot, is that despondency, that low, like this, the low level of your spirit, that kind of just emptiness, where you're not, like, people go through stuff and they cry, and it's hard to get through work, and they're just like, they're on edge. They're kind of in that like melancholy frustration, and they're sad because things like have happened to them. And I don't mean to like make this sound like trivial or be facetious about that. Like I if something happens to my friends, I don't treat it as like, well, at least you feel emotions or something happened in your life. It's, you got to be there for people. Sometimes that brings you out of your own shit. But I just think of it as like, this sadness comes because you had emotions attached to it, like attached to it. You cared about something, and that's what brings the sense of sadness. It is, you feel down because of something that had meaning to you. And depression is so much of, it's the apathy of things. It's not a sense of like, you feel like this kind of grief because of a loss, and you're really mad at the world, and you're kind of, maybe you're just like, almost like with tears in your eyes, like that, again, that frustration and the emotions that come with it, and it's just hard to get through the day. At least for me, depression isn't like that. It's like this, just kind of this like spiritual NyQuil. It's just this, it's physical things. It's the getting out of bed and just rubbing your eyes, and goddamn, I may have done it. Like, you'd think you have thoughts like this, like, I have to brush my teeth again. Like, just these things where a task, these are like, everything's a chore. Like, you have chores in your life, but everything is a chore. You're like, shit, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. And again, you're not crying about it, and you're not like just so having your heart shaking or anything. You're just kind of like, ugh. That's the way I would put it. Like the sound of emotions, you can imagine that the sound of anger, or the sound of sadness, and the sound of happiness. Depression is just, ugh. I'll try to do the thing, or I won't. And when the feelings of sadness that then come from depression is when that lack of energy and the lack of motivation, the lack of interest, it starts affecting your life. And then you start feeling things like guilt, or people become worried about you, or you become worried about yourself. And then feelings start to come in. Then you start, because life is just moving just so aggressively tiresome, you start to have thoughts from it that are like, is this going to get any better? Or is this what my life is? And through that depression, through the dejection of what your life is feeling like, those thoughts then start to cause that sadness. Again, at least for me, where it starts out that just life is, it's fucking difficult. And it's like, I don't even know why. Nothing has happened to me. Like, it just is like this. Like, everything's gray. Everything's just like this, just this moldy iceberg lettuce. It's just iceberg lettuce. Like, just plain gray blah. And when it's been like that for so long, and you have to go day after day, that tiresome is that struggle is what starts to like break your heart, and that's where like that sadness comes in. Like this misconception is, I see depression and sadness as like two separate things. Like, I feel like depression will bring sadness, but sadness is a whole other thing, or it isn't. I don't know. That's just my experience. That's at least what I think about it. Like I said, for this series, I want to tackle a lot of mental health things, as well as, alcoholism and addiction. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope that you're getting along well, or at least the struggle is proving worth it. And oh yeah, YouTube talk. Super hit the like button, smash subscribe. I shouldn't like pretend that I don't care about this shit. I really do. please leave comments or anything like that. And if you think a friend would enjoy some of these videos, please share it with them. Thanks.